Hi ladies and gentlemen, this is Game of Trades and this is going to be a technical analysis of the S&P 500. I'm mainly going to cover the daily chart and jump into the hourly chart to see what's going to happen in the next few days, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. If you are a beginner trader and you do not have a trading account yet, I put a link in the description of this video, and you can click on it and open a trading account with eToro. It's great if you're a beginner. They have a lot of information about trading and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So this is, as you can see, a daily chart of the S&P 500. And for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to just review the technicals of 2018 and 2019. Just because this has been a trader's market ever since the very beginning of 2018, when we had this big Trump run. We went way overbought on the RSI, and then we had a nice correction afterwards. And ever since that moment, we've actually been swinging up and down and pretty much going absolutely nowhere. I think from the high here to the high here, there may be a few percentage points, maybe like 2 or 3% increase. So, and obviously before that, it was just upwards grind with no real technical analysis. It was just basically a buy the dip scenario. But now things are getting interesting. This, as if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that this to me is just a huge topping pattern after an extended bull market. After a 10-year bull market since about 2009, we've been going up without a real crash, a real stock market correction, and this is just the beginning to what I think may be the next bear market for the U.S. stock market, at least the S&P 500 and probably the Nasdaq as well. Well, any real ETF representing the stock market. So that's pretty much the introduction to the scenario we have right here. This is really not your typical stock market. Price action, huge swings up and down, huge volatility. So let's jump right into the daily chart and see what's happening. So you can see I drew this uptrend line here. This is the latest uptrend that we have had in the S&P 500. The last one was right here, and if you remember, I actually made videos on this. We spotted the divergence on the MACD right here. We had divergence here on the MACD, and when we started approaching this, I made a double top video, and from that video on, we started crashing into my 3 targets. So I had 3 targets aligned, 1, 2, and 3. We didn't hit the third one. We bounced off the second one, and since we have been again rallying and actually making all-time highs for the 3rd consecutive time since the beginning of 2018. We have one all-time high here, one here, and another one right here. And I'm going to get more into that and what I think is going to happen with this all-time high. I mean, many people, they say, all right, all-time highs, this whole thing is behind us. We're not going to look back, and we're just going to go up and up, and no ceiling above. There's just blue skies. So obviously, first of all, we have the divergence, and you guys know I'm a big fan of divergence, and they do work. It's just a matter of time. So we had divergence here all the way through 2018, and the divergence is actually better on the weekly chart, but you can see it here on the daily chart. We have one high here, and the stock market actually continued on higher, and the MACD, on the other hand, actually started going down, and that is just, a simple way for the market to tell us that the momentum is slowing down. We had huge price momentum here and low price momentum here, and that is the sign that something's wrong and it's not supposed to continue on higher. And so we had a nice stock market crash at the end of 2018. That was, double digit, at least 23%, I think it was, a 23% crash this was. So big, significant from the break of trend line. It was highly tradable. Many people traded it. We had all the signs. Divergence, break of trend line right here. If you shorted it here, you could have potentially made a lot of profit with this, especially considering that prices drop a lot faster than they climb. You can see we actually dropped 23%, and we dropped all the way back to, we retraced all the price action from beginning of 2017 in just a few months. In 3 months, we retraced all the price increase from beginning of 2017. This shows you just how powerful a good and effective short is, and that is why I am definitely not going to let this divergence go unnoticed. And that's what I wanted, that's the main thing I wanted to cover in this video, is the fact that we have additional divergence here on the MACD. You can see the exact same thing is happening. We are making higher highs on the price, while MACD is actually going lower and lower. So will this time be different? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see, but in my experience, divergences play out. It's just a question of when and not if. So that's the first thing I wanted to say on the MACD. The next is obviously the fact that we're making all-time highs, but we're overbought. So that's another red flag. When you're making all-time highs, you want to have the perfect conditions. You want to break that level with conviction, and that is another thing that we're not seeing. We're seeing small, tiny candles on the daily chart, even some red candles. This just tells me that the bulls are not convinced that this is a good break to all-time highs, and this is just a long shot for the bulls. So we have divergence on the MACD, overbought levels, and a non-impulsive break of resistance and break to all-time highs. These are just all screaming red flags for me, and the very fact that we're just continuing on higher like nothing's going on, just increases the odds, for me at least, that we are going to see a bigger correction. So I was talking about over here the fact that we'll see a correction, and it's going to be corrective, and we'll likely bounce off one of my targets. But now that we're making all-time highs, this is just not good, at least in my books. I am looking for, in the next few weeks, a correction that will obviously break down below the all-time highs and most likely end up at this level at the very least. So this is my minimum target for the S&P 500. A false breakout can be extremely powerful. You can see right here, this was a false breakout. We had all-time highs here, a breakout, a non-impulsive breakout, and when we failed this breakout, it was extremely impulsive price action, and that is what I think we may see again in 2019, a huge stock market correction, and perhaps we'll see, but perhaps the beginning to to the next bear market and the end of this 10-year bull market. All right, so for the daily chart, that's it. I'm gonna jump into the hourly charts is, perhaps pinpoint what's going to happen in the next few days. So here we have this uptrend line right here. These are the past couple of weeks, and as you can see, we jumped above the all-time highs here. And we're forming sort of a cluster of island candles here, and we have this uptrend line that we're starting to contract towards. You can see this is actually a wedge pattern right here. When you have these types of lines contracting towards each other, it is a wedge pattern, and you can look it up on Google Images. A wedge pattern is a reversal pattern. So when we break this trend line, we'll likely hit this all-time high level and either have one last jump to try and shake some shorts, because people are waiting to short this. So if we bounce one more time off the all-time highs and perhaps add some more divergence here, then we'll have a nice crash. So these are my two scenarios. Either we crash, we break this level impulsively and go straight past in one go, or we bounce one last time off of this level, off of this all-time high level. So if you want to take something from this away, watch this level, watch this all-time high level. If we start breaking below it again, it will be the confirmation that this is a false breakout and that we're heading much lower. Now, what else do I see on the hourly charts? I also see, obviously, divergence that's accompanied with this price contraction. So, nothing new here. Basically more of the same, just on the hourly chart. All right, so that's about all I wanted to say on this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to like and subscribe if you have not already. In the meantime, good luck on your trading, and see you next time.